Good evening, everyone. My name is Lindsay Klein, and I'm the clerk for the Municipality of North Perth. I'm pleased to call to order the November 15th, 2022 inaugural meeting of the Council of the Municipality of North Perth for the 2022 to 2026 term. On behalf of the municipality, I would like to congratulate all of you, and I look forward to working with you all for the upcoming term. I would also like to give a warm welcome to everyone who's joining us this evening in council chambers, and for those tuning into the live stream from home as our new council is officially sworn in. At this time, I would ask that everyone please rise for the singing of O Canada. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. We wish to recognize the long history of Indigenous peoples of Canada and show our respect to them today. We recognize their stewardship of the land. May we all live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship. At this point, I would ask that Mayor Todd Kasenberg please rise and make your declaration of office.
I, Todd Kasenberg, having been elected to the office of mayor in the municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true, and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
At this point, I would ask that Mayor Kasenberg, you please come forward to the center of the horseshoe for the presentation of the chain of office and gavel. This time, I will call upon each member to please rise and make your declaration of office, beginning with the Deputy Mayor, followed by each councillor in alphabetical order. So we will start with Deputy Mayor Doug Kellum.
I, Doug Kellum, having been elected to the office of Deputy Mayor in the municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Councillor Leanne Andreessen.
I, Leanne Andreessen, having been elected to the office of Wallace Ward Councillor in the municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truthfully, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true, and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Councillor Neil Anstead.
I, Neil Anstead, having been elected to the office of Listowel Ward Councillor in the municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty, King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Councillor Sarah Vlasic.
I, Sarah Blazik, having been elected to the office of Listowel Ward Councillor in the municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interests, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interests Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration, conscientiously believing it to be true, and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Councillor Matt Duncan.
I, Matt Duncan, having been elected to the office of Elma Ward Councillor in the Municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received, and I will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Councillor Dave Johnston.
I, Dave Johnston, having been elected to the office of Elma Ward Councillor in the Municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Councillor Mark Nordam.
I, Mark Nordam, having been elected to the office of Wallace Ward Councillor in the Municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise the office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise therefore for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, and any improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Councillor Matt Richardson.
I, Matt Richardson, having been elected to the office of Listowel Ward Councillor in the Municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interest, indirect or direct, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interests Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Councillor Alan Rothwell.
I, Alan Rothwell, having been elected to the office of Elma Ward Councillor in the municipality of North Perth, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward, or promise thereof, for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose any pecuniary interests, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III. And I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously believing it to be true and knowing that it is the same force and effect as if made under oath.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2022 to 2026 Municipal Council. It is now my pleasure to formally turn over the proceedings of tonight's meeting to Mayor Todd Kaysenberg.
For your service this evening, Clerk Klein, and to all the staff who've participated in the planning and preparations of this somewhat ceremonial meeting, I express great gratitude and appreciation and commend you on a job well done. Thank you very much. I think all of us feel rather special at this moment, and we're grateful for that. Colleagues, before we proceed, there is an agenda laid out, of course, for us this evening. We do need to add a section here for declaration of conflicts of interest or pecuniary interest. I invite any colleagues who perceive that they may have a conflict of interest pertaining to a financial or pecuniary matter to declare this at this time. I think I'm the one who has the problem tonight, and it's quite an interesting one, so I will declare a conflict of interest on item 2.7, the election of a county councillor. The reason for this actually is that I am currently employed by the United Way of Perth Huron, and at this time, at least one of the candidates that I'm aware of serves as the lead volunteer in North Perth for the United Way Perth Huron. That potentially can create a conflict of interest for me, and given guidance from the Integrity Commissioner, I have therefore to declare that. I have asked at the appropriate hour that Deputy Mayor Kellum will take the chair for the purposes of conducting item 2.7. Okay, I guess it's my turn to talk, and so I'm going to pull up my little makeshift podium here and say a few words. To assembled guests, family, friends, staff, and dignitaries, and media. And I think I have to change the camera input too, actually. Let's do that. There we are. Awesome sauce. Yes, I said awesome sauce. I first heard this expression from one of my sons a few years back. To this day, I'm not quite sure if it was an invention of his, of some newfangled expression that comes with his generation. Perhaps it means cool. That's my theory. At least that's what I think it is, as I reflect on this unusual expression. Through the pandemic period, some of us faced with more time at home and perhaps even a dawning desire to do more within our walls, turn to new hobbies. In my case, now past that male menopause that I noted in my inaugural speech 4 years ago, for those of you who were there, I took up the joys of more diverse cooking, curtailing pretty significantly my indulgence in fast food. I purchased an Instant Pot and learned to expand my cooking repertoire from about 6 dishes to about 36 in the process. I worked fairly hard at this hobby, found new recipes, tried them, got introduced to new foods and food formats, experienced a few burn notices, which are quite dreadful, joined a community of other Instant Pot users, and learned principles that make meals turn out fairly well. I'm even at the point now where I've crafted a few recipes of my own. I learned to be careful when releasing the pressure from the pot at the end of a cook cycle, and to make sure that the seal for the lid is properly seated. I have experienced a fairly reliable turnout of sauces that are not just delightful. I've learned to make awesome sauce. And as I enter my second term as mayor, I tell you that some of the lessons of the Instant Pot are relevant to my expectations moving forward as mayor. Like my experience with the Instant Pot, my first several months of being a mayor in 2018 and 2019, in those what feel like long-forgotten pre-pandemic days, were a great adventure with occasional burn notices and creating care to get a good seal. Getting the balance of activities and interests right, even knowing some of the places where the best recipes are stored, was a big part of my experience 36 months ago. Lots of ambitions and goals. A flurry of early activity with mayor's task forces and changes in bylaw enforcement, and a gritty insistence that we seize every grant opportunity that we sniffed out. Just about the time my so-called honeymoon as mayor came to a reasonable end, along came a pandemic. No mayor or councillor that I know of signed up for a pandemic. Many wonderful people during the recent election bowed out from another term of elected office because of the demands and hostility that this period of human history have placed on elected officials. I can tell you that it was a very uncertain time. We were fortunate to have a few things to rely on. Our notions of community and protecting those most susceptible to morbidity and mortality outcomes. A remarkable cadre of public servants, staff, who were and are experts in both infectious disease handling and emergency management. A clear sense that we were going to learn as we progressed, even if some in society criticized the scientific method in a misguided belief that science, once pronounced, is fixed, and there's no reason or right to change what we learn. A deep-seated passion to keep our businesses strong, and their willingness to pivot and to change rapidly in the face of threat and mandate. And a commitment to keep the government closest to the people, functioning appropriately and compassionately. We exit the pandemic a grumpy people. I think we are a society in some ways quite fragmented by disagreements about what was too much or not enough, about individual rights and freedoms versus collective safety and security. We are now more aware of the ties which bind us through witness to those who have passed away too early from an infection that went after the vulnerable, leaving unexpectedly early holes in the fabrics of our lives. Even our commitment to volunteerism and community has been softened, likely at least in part to the fatigue that is manifested both as a sequel of COVID-19 infection and from the relentless exposure, so to speak, to our same four walls and all that charity at home. We've had to be relentless caregivers at home, so many are fatigued with asked to be caregivers in our community. Many have vaulted themselves into the expert's chair, often without credential other than a few YouTube videos. It makes governance a pretty uncertain effort these days, and it is not all that surprising that politicians of any stripe have wrung their hands of making hard decisions because they are wrung out with angry armchair and keyboard warriors. Compound this, languishing with bad actors on the global stage, add the significant worry of climate change, and our very security of existence is threatened. It could be a pretty bitter sauce. It could be. But I'm before you today, ready for my second mandate as mayor. While it was no easy first term, and our times have bred many who can't rise above being critics, I'm willing to point at and work towards a better world. I was reminded through Facebook memories of a quote by Robert F. Kennedy an American politician and brother of former U.S. President John F. Kennedy, who said, "Each time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. And those ripples build a current which can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance." I know that context is everything, and that quotation can inspire both sides of any debate. But I continue to want to act to improve the lot of others, my neighbors and friends in North Perth, and I pledge to be mindful of the lenses, the frames through which I look, so that I am fair, balanced, conscientious, and to the extent possible, wise. I am quite gratified to be surrounded by colleagues of goodwill on this council, who also see our opportunity for creating some more awesome sauce. 4 years ago, I stood before you with a series of interesting projects that I hoped would advance the quality of life and place of our community. Many of those have been started. Quite a few, and I say this gratefully, have come to fruition. And several remain ahead of us, should we choose to be bold and brave. Some will die a deserved death for impracticality or irrelevance or wrong-headedness, and so be it. Let me spell out what I think will be the key ingredients of our awesome sauce for the next 4 years. First, we will be dealing with growth and renewal of our community. The stage was set last term of council and even slightly before that with a commitment to the introduction of a new County of Perth official plan. This work has taken a lot of time, and a fundamental restructuring and increased investment in planning services at the county had to be undertaken in order for it to progress. I was privileged to be an active player in the decisions that have renewed that planning department and to see it emerge and shape itself as a result of key decisions by mayors and CAOs across this county. Things are stabilizing. The workload remains immense. Our growth is a challenge in form and extent. Many have talked to me about infrastructure concerns with our rapid growth. Many object to various forms. A new official plan will frame many solutions for our future. And so I will do all within my power to see it brought forward, comprehensively discussed and assessed, and then finally passed. This will unleash needs to issue a new comprehensive zoning bylaw for North Perth. This, too, will be a lot of work that will dominate the Council of 2022. We are in a weird time for planning. I am concerned about recent provincial legislation that, to my eyes at least, further restricts municipal right to comment on and reject planning applications. This council has a wisdom about such matters that should not be silenced or diverted unduly by those making decisions more relevant for the big cities. I believe we must continue to assert our influence over the form and extent of development. That begins, as many of my colleagues have shared with me, with protecting our agricultural lands with aggressive intent. We are a force of nature here in North Perth. Our lands are some of the finest in Canada for a broad range of agriculture. Sacrificing more and more for residential and commercial growth is not in the long-term interest of this community, or of the province for that matter. We must come to accept notions that we must increase density and build up as the primary method for future growth of North Perth. This term of council will also need to face an increasing array of decisions related to climate change. There are those amongst us in denial, and society's general diminishment of expertise doesn't help us in heeding warnings from the most qualified that we are on a collision course with a greatly changed world. A world threatened by more frequent weather emergencies, by changes in global temperature, by changes in air quality, and by decreasing availability of energy to fuel our at times beyond reasonable needs. We will be called to do our part for the sustainment and sustainability of the municipal corporation. And we will be called to do our part for the whole planet, which is troubled with climate injustice that at least in part comes from our consumerism. We will soon hear and need to consider the call to electrify everything. And this will have impact on municipal operations and prompt us to think differently, and maybe even to assume some new duties. I will be relentless in asking this council to put skin in the game when it comes to affordable housing. This is an issue about which there is enough talk. It's dominated my first 4 years as mayor. The Premier made it fairly plain at the August annual meeting of the Association of Municipalities of Ontario that this is an all-of-government effort, and indicated that municipalities must be the leaders amongst the 3 levels of government. Call it a download or wisdom, we are in the hot seat, and traditional notions that affordable housing must be driven at higher levels of government are clearly no longer correct. We must now be ready to put shovels in the ground. We can't expect the market to fully satisfy on these matters, although we have seen some progress in the market in just the last little bit with our first project, with intent for affordable in many years, receiving first planning approvals. We need to do more. We need to be innovative. We must get in front of the province and ask for the money that comes with the download of responsibilities in this matter. Homelessness amongst us is real. It is to many eyes shocking. Upper and lower tier governments are taking action. We are connecting unsheltered individuals with supports. We will continue to work with our partners in social services to strive towards a community which addresses homelessness compassionately and using best theories and practices. The last council approved a first plan which recommended action on affordable housing along 3 paths. In my eyes, it is a start. Council should expect to see some significant expenditures in this term, beginning with land contributions, use or leveraging of our borrowing power, and direct spend on staff to help us navigate this area of responsibility. We may need to sacrifice old dogma that this isn't our arena. It clearly is, and we need to do our part. This council is called to continue work to ensure that a traffic and transportation master plan is delivered and acted upon. It will be a dominant theme in our 4 years of serving together. Public expectation is very high that we build a truck route and address core congestion in Listowel. Not least in thinking about growth is nurturing an innovative spirit in our community. I have recently floated the idea of an innovation hub or program in North Perth. I invite forward-thinking citizens to band together to make this happen. I believe that municipal government can do a small amount of the coordinating that will be required, and I will put my shoulder, to the extent reasonable, to that wheel. My second pillar for effort of this municipal government includes actions that improve graceful living across the lifespan. To set context, I need to be quite direct. Municipal governments have many statutory duties established by mandate and regulation from the province. I've never actually done the math. I've sat with Fran and talked about doing the math. But my own best guess is something like 75 to 85% of the total spend of the municipality is on duties and actions that we are required to undertake by provincial law or regulation. Practically speaking, when people complain to me about property taxes, it is very relevant to point out that there is very little wiggle room given what Ontario tells us we must do. Where is that wiggle room? Well, at least to these eyes, Council has more discretion, the ability to actually make expenditure choices in the realms of learning and recreational programming and parks, in economic development, and at least to a lesser degree in libraries. It is my opinion that we would create a pretty unhappy and unsuccessful place if we just told all residents that they need to make their own kind of programming because we were shutting down our efforts, because that's where discretionary savings happen. Parks and trails have been places of comfort during the pandemic, and people are rediscovering the value of being outdoors. As we strive to greater housing density, we need to preserve programming and amenity and green spaces for those who won't have a backyard in the conventional sense. I make no apologies then to those who have cajoled me to cut out our recreational programming efforts or to abandon our parks. It does astonish me, in fact, that there are such voices in our community. I think they've missed the big picture, that humans are social animals who live in community. The last term of council saw sustainment in investments in our programs group for public recreation. Many of what was tried is experimental. I see Amy with us tonight. Our poor staff puts up with the mayor who talks about roller skating and cricket and futsal and talks about spaces for preteen girls. And the municipality can be mediators in programming in our community in two ways: in directly nucleating activities that address across the lifespan, or in providing subsidy to support those who need the leg up and work with private providers of service. We have done both, and I believe we will continue to need to do both. The municipality is essentially an agent that can do things at scale, and that direct intervention can improve quality of life. For example, in our last term, council invested in supporting the Lonely No More program and community connectedness coaching training in our area. This has brought about significant connections amongst some of our lonely older adults and has exposed them to other services that they did not know about. As shown in that program, these efforts can be virtuous and change the ability of some of the most vulnerable amongst us to gain some enjoyment and caring friendships. I am reminded that no person can be an island. I will lend my clear voice. We need to continue to encourage innovation in supporting quality of life through strategic investments in programming, both internal and external. Not only does it keep our youth engaged and trusting of home, it keeps our seniors comfortable and it builds community. It is an economic driver that, when neglected, prompts talented professionals to look elsewhere for their livelihood. Want young doctors and young nurses here? Create and work to sustain valuable community programming and infrastructure. Build more inclusive parks that cater across the lifespan. Craft trails that wow people. Find things for tweens and teens to do. This is a clear win to make an awesome sauce. It was a source of great personal accomplishment and may yet be my singular legacy to leverage the best of community thinking about some of the challenges of labor in our community, of youth retention in our community, into our Adult Learning Center, which we have now branded Set 7. This innovative project can change the destiny of people in our community by providing skills training, including soft skills training, to those with need, and can change the prosperity of local businesses through labor retention and upskilling. I will call on Council to work with the many opportunities that lie ahead so that this initiative receives a reliable platform for sustainability. Set 7 is definitely an unusual investment, so far largely of provincial money, granted on the basis of a strong proposal, but it will create awesome sauce for years to come. I will forego deep comments about what is my third pillar of community, our community intent and brands. Needless to say, I believe that my home village of Atwood is Canada's finest small town Canada Day place in the country. In leveraging from a vision of that, we take nothing away from my One North Perth premise espoused 4 years ago. In fact, we celebrate its diversity in this way. Let's continue to tell our stories of greatness. In Atwood, to me, that means decking out the village in red and white, in my humble opinion. Listowel's emergence on the global stage has come through both our sign wars and serving as source material for the television show Letterkenny. Let's figure out the rest of that story and make some strategic investments to support that. I also give a shout out to something that I was quite proud to be involved with, alternatively called the Agricultural Excellence Strategy, or the North Perth Farm and Food Forward Vision. As one who has lived in the city for much of my life, conventionally called a citiate, I have had to learn about our agricultural primacy of place and history. And while I won't claim that I can chat farming with great depth with our local producers and technology interests, I am very proud of them and the work that happens here to feed the world. This next council will need to engage with the vision, principles, and practices of this strategy. I know our agriculture and agritech community is eager to see it happen. Agriculture is the prime ingredient in our awesome sauce. Last of my pillars is beauty and harmony. I was proud to serve on a council that funded a community improvement plan and invested in a facade improvement program. I believe that to create quality of place and quality of life, we need to up our game in the general aesthetic of the community. People here feel pride in our successes and accomplishments. We have been a community that is quite functional and built on the hard work and practical thinking to build prosperity and happy lives for most. We are neighborly, generally. From the complaints that I personally have received, we know when someone is not doing their part with their own property. So let's leverage that to pride in our downtowns, in our neighborhoods, in our parks. Some of that, of course, rests with the commercial sector. And I encourage continuing efforts to create visible charm and warmth in our human interactions and customer experience. Some of that comes from the municipality enhancing its own commitments to clean and, might I add, weed and graffiti-free streets, sidewalks, and walls. And some of that will come from the efforts of the Listowel BIA and the North Perth Chamber of Commerce, from the Listowel Kinsman Club, the Atwood and Moncton Lions Clubs, and so many more who give community service. These clubs and groups do so much in our community, and I tip my hat to them. As a society, Canada has been drawn to take a look at diversity, equity, and inclusion of all peoples. We know that this level of government should also do its part. One of the things I will ask this Council of 2022 to do is endorse, by becoming a signatory to, the Perth County Charter on Diversity, Equity, and Anti-Racism. To do so might be perceived as merely symbolic, but I expect our organization to move beyond the symbols and into the hard work to build a better, more tolerant workplace and to promote a kinder, more tolerant community. We made a great step in this current year with the raising of the Pride flag amongst festivities at Municipal Hall. We welcome insight from the community into further efforts. I chatted recently with a friend and local businessman, and he hit on what I think will be a key theme as we adjust to a much changed world that is slowly getting through the hangover in the aftermath of the active pandemic. He said, people just need to engage, just need to participate. I told this friend I was going to inject that theme into this speech tonight. In the coming months, things will at times feel quite confused and at times quite difficult. Our ability to create joy in our lives isn't always within our grasp, but often you lose your most intense burdens when you engage, when you participate. Find ways to meaningfully do so. Join a service club, engage with a community project, create shareable art. Share your skills with all of us. We need many, many cooks in the kitchen to make an awesome sauce. As your mayor, as your neighbor, I call on you to become a cook in the kitchen, building this awesome sauce that we all really do desire. A few personal remarks are in order. I have delighted in and have been so supported by the entire council team of 2018. I will miss our departed colleagues, Terry Seiler and Julie Behrens. I look around this table very expectantly, extending a warm welcome to Councillors Sarah Blazek and Mark Nordam. We will, of course, from time to time disagree, but I expect our focus on collaboration will continue and be enriching to all of our lives. I look amongst you and I see a deep commitment to what is best for our community. Sometimes it won't be easy or obvious. Being patient and kind makes the journey a rewarding one. To the wonderful staff, I am a wiser man than the one you met 4 years ago. In part, wisdom has been encouraged by your good examples, by your patience and your expertise. We are very fortunate to have such a good staff in times when there literally is a poacher around every corner looking to steal them. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your consistency. Thank you for your deep efforts on behalf of that vision of building a great progressive community. Thank you for your kindness, your compassion towards me. Stick around. I am sustained by a wonderful home life. I am a very fortunate husband of 34 plus years to Sharon Flood Kasenberg. She is my heart, and we are one soul. It is not an easy thing to be the life partner of an elected official. When the home phone rings, she is often the one who must gently, or sometimes admittedly, firmly encourage people to try me at the office or on my cell phone. She sometimes must be a tension breaker. She sometimes is quite bored at the talking of shop that happens at events, dinners, or even at Zares. She is a rock to me, and I am so grateful. Her sacrifices are significant. Same advice as last time. Don't call her the First Lady of North Perth. My sons, Sam and Dan, could not attend tonight. They have been wonderful sounding boards over a long period of time. They help me to play and chill when things get tense. They are great people, each contributing in their own way and through their own interests in building a better world. I am one of their chief admirers. I acknowledge tonight the absence of my daughter-in-law, Kate, and granddog, Nala. I think it might have been interesting to have a wonder dog in attendance this evening, and I might argue there's a cozy space right around here for a dog at the mayor's feet. I am rather thrilled as well that I can share this night with Nicolas Lopez Miconi, an international student from Spain who is visiting with my family in Atwood for the current high school year. Nico is one of many youth who are part of the extended Kasenberg family, and it has been a joy to me to have honorary sons and daughters in many other parts of the world through our hosting of international students. I salute all of them, many of whom were fascinated by some of our issues, including backyard chickens of interest in the last term. To the people of North Perth, I work each day to be a mayor for all. I work hard to be accessible, to be in the passages of our community's life with you. I will work as tirelessly as I did in my first term to support community events, hear more from citizens, and to get us to the bright future that lies ahead. I am deeply committed to advocating for our interests, whether at this council, at the Council of the County of Perth, or with other levels of government. I pledge my active engagement on the many files that affect our community's interests and happiness. Thank you to my supporters, and thank you to those who voted for my opponent, Mr. George. Please reach out to me or to your councillors when you believe we are missing key data or interpreting things incorrectly, or when you need some support with a municipal issue. But remember, the mayor casts but one vote amongst 10. 4 years ago, I encouraged at the very beginning of my first term that we be North Perth proud. While I remain faithful to that message, I think we need to update it a bit with a bolder call to action. We are about the work of building a great, sustainable community that facilitates joy. I've talked tonight through this metaphor of awesome sauce. I've talked about finding great recipes, being fearless about high-pressure release, about dealing with or preferably avoiding burn notices, about learning best practices, and about experimenting and innovating. And so I call on our community to create our own awesome sauce in hundreds of small and large ways. Let us recognize awesome sauce when we see it. Give it a pat on the back and favorably draw attention to it. Let us now, therefore, be North Perth awesome. Thank you very much. All right, let me take a drink. That was a long diatribe, wasn't it? All right, likely to be my last of that length, so count yourself grateful. All right, let's turn now to remarks from members of council. I kind of had that privilege of going as long as I wanted, although I'm sure the clerk was nervous about that, but let's turn to you. She suggested about 5 minutes for each of you. Let me get the microphone screen up here. Let me change the camera view. We want to get the camera view to there. Thank you. And I have microphones. Why don't we begin in the usual alphabetical order? That means that Councillor Andreessen, you are up.
Shall I stand or?
Totally up to you.
Yeah, okay, sure. Mayor Kaysenberg, Deputy Mayor Callum, fellow councillors, staff, and guests. I'm grateful to call home being North Perth, where we live among talented and caring people. We live in an area of rich, productive agricultural land, and we live in a community of choice where people want to settle and make it their home too in North Perth. And so as I begin my second term of North Perth Council, I'm really grateful and humbled by the support for my re-election by the Wallace Ward community. I also want to thank supporters across the municipality who couldn't necessarily vote for me, but who provided great encouragement and feedback. I'd like to also this evening thank my husband and my family, Noah, Kyle, Ashley, and Mary, for their support in seeking re-election. They've been very patient and understanding of my interest and pursuit of supporting this community. I would like to express my gratitude as well to the retired Julie Bearns for her service to North Perth Council representing Wallace Ward. I appreciated her mentorship as a new councillor. She has been a trailblazer in our community's history, and I commend her for her service. I want to express my thanks to all candidates who put their names forward during the election process. And congratulations to everyone who was successful during their election to join this council team tonight. After a full term of experience on council, I feel confident, ready, and eager to move forward in the new term of council. The last 4 years provided many challenges with the onset of the pandemic. Like the rest of the province, the issues in our community have changed. Labor and doctor shortages, increased homelessness, mental health issues, rising costs, climate change, elevated housing costs, and housing shortages, transportation congestion are all issues that have risen to the forefront. These issues actually pave a daunting course of action for all of us in council ahead. Most of these issues would typically rest at other levels of government, but now through downloading, these issues will rest with us in this municipality. North Perth also has some exciting projects in the works, including the establishment of a new access centre that will include social services, a renewed library, and affordable housing units. The old arena park will hopefully be redeveloped in our next term. An economic development strategy with an agricultural focus will be a dream come true as we see it move along in the term ahead. And a transportation master plan will gradually be used to ease traffic congestion in this community. And I could continue with the list even more. I look forward to working with staff as they take council direction to give life to the decisions that we make. I'm very proud of our caring and capable staff team here in North Perth. Oprah Winfrey once said, "Challenges are gifts that force us to search for a new center of gravity. Don't fight them. Just find a new way to stand." This quote has huge application as we move forward to the term of council we see ahead. We will have to be creative and open-minded and responsible as we navigate the term together. Along with taking the inaugural oath this evening, I pledge that I will keep learning and listening and asking questions, which is absolutely critical as the needs of our community evolve and change. I will continue to elevate my level of understanding through professional learning and through listening to residents, listening to businesses and organizations, and also understanding and advocating for our agricultural community. When making decisions, I pledge to widen my lens and ensure that diversity and inclusion are considered. I look forward to serving with all of you, my fellow councillors, deputy mayor, and mayor, together as a North Perth municipality over the next 4 years as a municipal councillor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Andreessen. Next up is Councillor Anstead.
Mayor Kasenberg, Deputy Mayor Kellum, fellow members of council, staff, and guests, thank you for all being here this evening and welcome. I want to begin my remarks this evening by acknowledging a few groups of people. First, to the voters of the Listowel Ward, thank you. Thank you for putting your trust in me to be your representative at the council table in both 2018 and again this year. I'm very grateful and humbled by your support, and I will continue to be a passionate, approachable, and dedicated representative for all residents. Second, to my parents who are here this evening, and in the front row, I might add, thank you for all your support. Growing up, we were always taught, get involved in your community and make it a better place to live. I'm grateful to my parents for instilling a strong sense of public service in me and always believing in me. I'm also especially proud to continue to serve as a fourth-generation municipal elected official, following in the footsteps of my great-grandfather, grandfather, and father, who all served their community for many, many years. Finally, to my wife, Amelia, and our sons, Everett and Duncan, who unfortunately can't be here tonight, but I know we're probably watching at home for a bit before bedtime. Thank you for your endless love and support. Your encouragement allows me to have the opportunity to serve my community. As everyone here will know, serving on a municipal council is a very large commitment, which requires the support of your spouse. And I'm fortunate to have a spouse who's not only supportive, but encouraging as well. So again, thank you, Amelia. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm an extremely passionate individual about the role that municipal government plays in the lives of our residents. It is my hope that the decisions we make around this horseshoe will benefit our residents long after this term of council ends. There will be debate, of course, some of it contentious. However, it's important to remember that we are all here to achieve the same goal, to make North Perth a better place for all residents. Tonight's an exciting night, a new term of council that is full of possibility and promise. We have a great balance of new and returning councillors, and I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you. I'm especially looking forward to our new council building consensus and harnessing our shared passion to serve our community. I feel as though we are prepared to meet the challenges we will face head on, to make tough decisions and provide clear direction to accomplish our shared goals. There's a lot to look forward to and a great deal of work to do in the next 4 years. If the last 2 years have taught us anything, it's that we are strong and resilient, and that there's nothing North Perth can't conquer or achieve together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anstead. Next, welcome to new Councillor Sarah Blazek.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg, Deputy Mayor, fellow councillors, everyone here tonight. I did not prepare remarks, so bear with me. I'm winging it. I have learned very quickly since being voted into council that there is a steep learning curve. There's a steep learning curve. I have lots to learn. I have no doubt that I will spend the next 4 years continuing to learn. And I thank you so much for that opportunity. I also have no doubt that the incredible staff at the municipality and my colleagues will be patient and kind and supportive during that learning curve. I have a lot of people to thank, if I could please. There were people who sent me this posting when the new election was shared on our website and said, you should do this, you should do this. And I want to thank those people for giving me the push that I needed. I want to thank a neighbor and friend who knocked on my door once a week to check on my campaign and see how he could help. And he was such an incredible support to me. And he didn't know me from a hole in the wall. He just came over to get to know me and decided to put his support in me, and I appreciate that so much. I want to thank my kids and my nephew, who every day after school and on Saturdays for nearly 6 weeks knocked on doors and stuffed mailboxes for me. They loved doing it. They look forward to doing it again in 4 years, I'm sure. Thank you for that. To my best friend who brainstormed with me and burned the midnight oil on countless occasions in support of my campaign. You know that I don't do anything in my life without you. And my husband, Mirik, who door knocked for me and spoke to strangers on my behalf and researched with me during my campaign, who supports me absolutely in everything that I do. To my daughters, Layla and Madeline, who inspire me every single day to exemplify good personal character and show them how incredibly important it is to have strong female leadership in our lives and in our communities. Thank you to the voters for your faith in me. I will work hard for the next 4 years to prove to you that your faith in me was not displaced. Thank you.
A wonderful maiden speech. Thank you very much. Councillor Duncan, now to the returning experienced one. Councillor Duncan.
Thank you. First thing I want to do is I want to congratulate everyone around the table, the mayor, the deputy mayor, and everyone on council. And a lot of water's went under the bridge since the first time I sat in this chair 12 years ago. And I really want to thank the citizens that had faith in me to elect me for a 4th term here. And I want to thank my partner Aaron and my girls at home for putting up with all the meetings I have to go to. And I look forward to cooperating and working with all the staff and everybody around this horseshoe for the next 4 years. And I think we're going to accomplish lots. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duncan. I'll now call on Deputy Mayor Kellum.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Kiesenberg. For 16 years now, when I was asked to bring greetings on behalf of the municipality, I always kept it very short. So I will not be going on for 5 minutes, and I proved it the other night at the North Perth Seniors, as one of the band members says, we're behind 15 minutes, so it's not your election campaign, so we'll speed it up. So anyway, good evening for those in attendance. Thank you for making the time to attend our inaugural council meeting tonight. Thank you to those who put forth their name to serve North Perth. And congratulations to all of you elected. While you're campaigning for this election, on the doorsteps of homes and businesses, we listened to what matters most to you, our residents. Whether it was youth retention, a vibrant and safe community, great recreation, a strong local economy, or something else, your point was made. To the previous councillors who retired, thank you for the years of service you provided for the citizens of North Perth. We have a lot of experience at our new council table, and with the 2 newly elected officials, your voice and comments will definitely be welcomed. No doubt there will be challenges and opportunities that will arise over these 4 years, but that is why we were elected. Make a decision and move on. Moving forward, whether it's a North Perth or County Council question, comment, or just something you want to bounce off me, reach out and communicate. Again, congratulations on being elected, and I look forward to working with you and all of our staff each and every day.
Councillor Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is still what gets the juices flowing. The excitement of the upcoming term, what we can accomplish. And I take that oath that we took tonight very serious. And every time I do, it's an honor to take that oath. And we need to remember that. And from my first time taking the oath at the old municipal building in Atwood, which is now a home, to upstairs in this building under Vince Judge, to now, my 7th time taking the oath. It never gets old for me. I look around at the council makeup and think about the promise that we have. From the years of experience from the Matts, Matt Duncan and Matt Richardson, your years of experience, we will rely on that experience. From Leanne, Neil, and Alan, now moving into your 2nd term, the apprehension is gone, familiarity can now take over, and that will help in your decision making. To our newcomers, Mark, Sarah, bring that passion and excitement to the table. Learn, listen, but we need that excitement, and I look forward to working with both you. To our fearless leaders, Mayor Todd, Deputy Mayor Doug, we rely on that vast knowledge and experience of you two, and we look forward to you two guiding us not only here, but at County Council, and I thank you for your willingness to serve. Some measure our success by shiny new equipment and buildings and that we do as council. But I take more enjoyment from seeing a road being rebuilt, a bridge fixed on a back road, or crops flourishing on a drain that we fixed. That's what keeps me coming back to this table, and we need to keep that momentum going. I want to thank my parents for instilling my love of politics at a young age. Part of this was following my sister Nancy to the Ontario Legislature as a page at the age of 13. I couldn't be here without some sacrifice and help. So some of that help comes from my brother Doug, who I farm with, who fills in when I'm on the phone, or I'm heading out the door to a meeting, or I'm completely gone. He fills in and admirably for that. To my sons, who I have the honor of working with every day, that they fill in for me when, once again, I'm busy on council business. To my daughter, who is my biggest cheerleader, I thank you. But especially to my wife, who now we've celebrated 25 years of marriage, and 18 years of those I have been on council. So she's used to the 6:20, Dave comes flying in from the barn, the 4-minute shower, the 3-minute, I can put a suit on faster than anybody, I believe now, after 18 years of doing it. But this is also the lady that every Monday night for years made spaghetti when our children were young to see how many of those kids could get spaghetti sauce on Dad as he's heading out the door. So yes, Neil, like you said the one time about it looks like I'm flying in here. Oftentimes when Councillor Rothwell calls me and says he's on the way to pick me up, I still got overalls on. And sometime I will show up here in overalls. But I want to thank my wife for the support, for the listening ear, for just everything. When you're on council, you never know what's coming next. So I want to thank her for that support. And yes, Mr. Mayor, the Britton boys are back. We got the road paved in Britain. Now I think we'll set our sights on stoplights. Thank you.
And I can't resist saying that I think we are getting somewhere with broadband internet for you, too. Very good. Thank you, Councillor Johnston. Councillor Nordam, welcome to the table. You're up.
Speaking of paving Britain, people are going to be joking about paving 146 now that they have 2 councillors. Thank you, Mayor Todd. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Doug. It's truly an honor to sit at this table as a representative of the fine people of Wallace and North Perth as a whole. I have a lot of respect for the people who have sat in this chair, and when I say that, I don't just mean Matt Richardson. You're right, it's a pretty comfy chair. But I also take Councillor Bierns' comment to heart. It gets less comfy past 11 p.m. Every time that I sit at this table, I will bring passion for agriculture, better, safer roads, and keeping the small town charm as we grow. We are a municipality that has some of the most caring and compassionate people, and I look forward to representing them. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you very much. First off, I would like to congratulate everyone for the very good election that has happened, and kudos to all. And to you, Mr. Nordham, I'll be taking my chair back later on after the meeting. I would just like to keep it short and sweet, that I would certainly, number one, like to thank the entire community for the faith they have put in me for yet another term. I work diligently, I listen, and I give my honest opinion. I would like to thank staff because it's been an absolute pleasure. And as Councillor Blazek had made mention, can officially call you that now, that had made mention that it is a very, very steep learning curve. You will be surprised. I've grown up in this community. I've lived here for 52 years. And boy, oh boy, even over the last 12 years, I cannot imagine the scope of change by sitting on this side of desk that I've seen over that last 12 years as compared to what it was decades ago. As the gray is telling that some of that gray has come from council here, but I won't let that go. I'd like to congratulate everyone, but obviously I would certainly like to thank everyone in North Perth who actually came out and supported all of the great candidates here this evening. And I would like to thank the voters in Listowel who came out and supported myself as well. I'm deeply humbled that you've given me an opportunity to serve you again for another 4 years, and I will do it with diligence and respect, and to do that. And as a final quote to leave, I'd like all council to remember that not one of us is more important than all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richardson. Need to turn that microphone on. Councillor Rothwell.
Thank you, Mayor Kasenberg, Deputy Mayor Kellum, fellow councillors, staff, members of the public, and my dear family. It's an honor to be elected to this council for a second term, and I appreciate the support of those that did come out and vote for each and every one of us, as well as those that were not necessarily successful on the same fashion. It takes courage, it takes commitment to be able to put your name forward into the community, for a willingness to serve our community. And as has been talked about by everyone here tonight, that is the foundation in which we are here, is to serve our community. And it's important that we also pick up on the theme of a team. This council will build our team based on the foundations of those 4 councillors that are 3 terms or more, as well as the new initiation of 2 new councillors, of which I was one, as well as 3 others 4 years ago. So we have 2 first-term councillors, we have 4 councillors / mayor that have been here for, this is our second term, and then 4 that are 3 or more terms. I believe that we are fortunate to have councillors with broad experience in terms of both our age, whether long in numbers or shorter in numbers, depending on where we are on that spectrum. To our staff, also the critical part of our team. Cohesion makes up the important foundation that we work together. And yes, as was mentioned by all of our other councillors, we will have challenges before us, but we have opportunities to address those challenges. When we think back of the pandemic, thanks to the investments through encouragement from staff and council leadership, we had the technology to be able to continue to do the business of our municipality, either A, as a councillor, or B, as staff, remotely, when many others could not, even though they wanted to. Yes, we had hiccups. Yes, broadband was a specific issue, and if you want to bring anyone to their knees, put on video with 10 councillors and so on, and all of a sudden you just say, why is Alan Rothwell's name up there? Because he's got no technology that has that much time for broadband for video. That is changing this week in Britain, and I'm very, very thankful for that. We've talked about the need for the community to work collaboratively together. All the answers will not necessarily, this is shocking, all council in this table does not have all the answers. Our staff has a lot of the answers, but not all of the answers. When we look at our public, they will have answers, but not all of the answers. We talk about the need to work together with our federal government, our provincial government, other surrounding municipalities, our neighbors, our businesses, and our community. That is what's going to bring us back together, in my view. We have to go away from division. We have to take advantage of opportunities that are given to us. And yes, if we disagree with something, we need to say that specifically to our MPP or to our MP, whichever the case may be. We need to work together to get through this post-pandemic conundrum that we have to address all of the issues which have been talked about, whether that's mental health and well-being, whether that's affordable housing, whether that's business expansion, retention, whether that's inclusivity, and to look at our whole broad spectrum. And that is from our children, our youth, our early adults, our adults that are involved specifically, and our seniors. We are community, and the programs that we as a community offer go by the door every single day. We've talked about the importance of municipalities in terms of everyone's daily life. Yes, we do that, and we have a staff that does that very effectively, and we will be continuing to call on them. And this council will have to address what our desires are through our budget to make sure that that works. North Perth is a great community, and we must strive to make sure that it continues to be sustainable for everyone, affordable for everyone to live, work, and play. I promise to do my best to do that, and I want to thank my wife and my family that have given me that support, like each and every one of you. Your spouse has as well, or your partner. And family is what is another foundational piece which is going to help build our community for everyone. Thank you very much.
We have work to do, and I'm grateful for all of your sentiments and your thoughts and your reflections, and glad to have you with us, all of us together, to do our best to hear the many voices that Councillor Rothwell referred to in his comments. So thank you. Thank you all. Okay, as we move forward in the agenda, the next opportunity is the election of county councillors, and this is a third representative from North Perth. I will exit the chamber at this point per my declared conflict of interest, or at least perceived conflict of interest, and turn the chair over to Deputy Mayor Kellum. Deputy Mayor, as you come up here, just watch your footing. There's some stuff there. All right, here we go.
Good evening again, and for the record, please note that Mayor Kaysenberg has declared a pecuniary interest on item 2.7 with regard to the election of our county council representative. With assistance of Clerk Klein, we'll be going through the process, and I believe the protocol right now, Clerk Klein, is to ask for nominations from any council members. I should have asked earlier, is it via alphabetical or just whoever would like to? So at this time, I will open the floor to anyone that would like to nominate. Councillor Duncan?
I'd like to put my name forth for the third member of Perth County Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Duncan. Councillor Andreessen?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Kellum. I would like to have my name stand as a third representative for County Council as well.
Thank you, Councillor Andreessen. Is there anyone else? Councillor Rothwell?
Deputy Mayor, thank you. I'd like my name to stand for consideration for county council representative as the third representative. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to put forth their name for the third county council representative? Second chance. Last chance. I'll turn it over to Clerk Klein with the process.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Kellum. Since we do have more than one candidate seeking the third representation on County Council, there is an election process to follow that's outlined in our procedure bylaw, so I'll just go through that process right now. So where there's more than one candidate, the election shall be done by show of hands in open council. Each member of council shall have one vote. If there are more than two candidates seeking the position, the person receiving the lowest number of votes in the first vote will be left out of the second vote. When a candidate has received a majority of the votes, there will be no further ballots cast. And in the case of an equity of votes for the position, the successful candidate shall be determined by the clerk by placing the names of the candidates on equal sized pieces of paper in a box, and one piece of paper will be drawn by a person chosen by the clerk. This name will be read by the clerk and will be considered the successful candidate. So at this point, I'll start by reading out the three names in alphabetical order by last name, and those who are voting can raise their hands. And then after the first round, whoever receives the lowest vote will then be left out of the second round. Okay, so we'll start with those wishing to vote for Councillor Leanne Andreessen. Please raise your hand. So I see 2 votes. Those wishing to vote for Councillor Matt Duncan, please raise your hand. I see 4 votes. And those wishing to vote for Councillor Alan Rothwell, please raise your hands. I see 3 votes. Okay, so after the first round, Leanne Andreessen will be left out of the next round. So the next round will be between Councillor Matt Duncan and Councillor Alan Rothwell. So again, we'll do it by alphabetical by last name, starting with Councillor Matt Duncan. Whoever wishes to vote for Councillor Duncan, please raise your hand. I see 5 votes. And those wishing to vote for Councillor Alan Rothwell, please raise your hands. I see 4 votes. So with 5 votes for Councillor Matt Duncan, you're the successful candidate. And I'll just ask that, I'll pass it back to you, Deputy Mayor Kellum, and I'll just ask that Council pass a motion electing Councillor Matt Duncan. So I'll just bring the wording of that over to you.
Thank you, Clerk Klein, and thank you for all 3 of you for putting forth your name. And congratulations, Councillor Duncan. So I do have a motion that the Council of the Municipality of North Perth hereby appoint Councillor Matt Duncan as the 3rd North Perth representative on Perth County Council for the 2022 to 2026 term in office. May I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Rothwell, second by Councillor Johnson. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much. Councillor Ansett, would you let Mayor Todd Kiesenberg back in, please?
I believe that brings us to the natural conclusion point to our meeting. It should be acknowledged that under item 3 on our agenda tonight, we have notes of congratulations from various stakeholders, including the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, MP John Nader, Matt Ray, who's the MPP for Perth Wellington, and the Stratford and Area Builders Association. And no doubt more of those will come in as we proceed through our next meetings. So at this point, I believe, I'll turn to the clerk just for a moment. Is there any other business that you're aware of that we need to conduct at this hour?
Mr. Mayor, no other business, just a motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much, Clerk Klein. That brings us to the adjournment point. We have a motion as follows, that the council meeting adjourns at 8:25 p.m. to meet again for general council business on Monday, December 5th, 2022 at 7 p.m. Can I call for a mover of this? Councillor Noordam, thank you. And Councillor Blazek, you'll be our seconder. We have selected wisely tonight. That's a not debatable motion, so I think we can have that vote outside of eScribe, right? So by show of hands, all those in favor? Any opposed? And that is carried. Council, this was a wonderful inauguration meeting. You had to put up with a very long speech from me, but you got through it, and I didn't see any sleeping eyes, so I'm impressed. Let's move forward, and we'll see you on Monday, December 5th. This meeting is adjourned.